Hi Cancer, thank you for joining me and welcome to my channel. This is your reading for the eclipse that's happening tomorrow morning, but the effects of this eclipse will last longer, so don't worry if you're watching this late. We're taking a look at the eclipse energy with astrology, and then a tarot card reading, and then another tarot card reading. It's pretty late, so I'm going to get to the point. Members, I will do an extended for you guys covering the astrological transits as well as a spiritual reading. So thank you guys for hanging out. For the next while, I'll be doing more readings for members than offered because you guys waited. So provided you guys give me room to breathe so that I can do it at a safe pace and not burn out. I'm finding that I'm getting really intense energy, and you're the last sign I'm reading before the eclipse happens. So some people were getting upset that I wasn't reading for your sign. I read this in order. I pick these cards, and so yeah. So just always know that it's not favoritism in any way, and I leave it up to fate, right? Okay, so let's take a look at your transits. Here we go. The eclipse happens on May 26th at 4 a.m. to 4:25 a.m. And the beginning of the eclipse starts at 1:45 a.m. and ends at 6:45. I don't know. I've said this so many times, I should know it by heart. And then that's PST, so Pacific Standard Time here on the west coast of Canada, British Columbia, or California, Oregon, Washington State. Okay? If you're on the East Coast, Toronto, New York, Florida, then Florida is even a different time zone, isn't it? No, but anyways, three hour difference from the West Coast, right? So you guys will only see a little fragment of it. So if you get up really early before sunrise, then you will see the moon set as it begins the eclipse. So if you want to do energy work, that is your time to do it. You will still absorb the energy if you don't see it. So if you're in Europe, Australia you'll see it, but Europe, the Middle East, whatever, Russia, right? You will not see it, but you will still gain the benefits. However, when you see it, you get more because the light is coming through. Somebody just asked if you can make moon water. That's a loaded question. Some people would say no. Traditional astrology was very cautionary tale with eclipses. I really like the energy. I think it's very intense, and I've grown a lot using it. And I've avoided problems somehow, but I sense the danger too. So I'm hesitant to say just go do it. And definitely if you don't know what you're doing, then don't do anything, right? And especially the main thing with any kind of energy work is listening. So if you can't listen to what the universe is telling you and kind of receive in a yin kind of energy, or you're not yang, like you can initiate yang to the universe, but ultimately the universe has more power than you do, and so, or maybe not, but you are the receiver, and so you have to humble yourself before it. You know, you're like the adept, right? You're trying to learn, and you're trying to be a part of it. Anyway, so we have the eclipse happening in your 6th house when the moon is in Sag, south node is in Sag, and the north node is in Gemini, and the sun is in Gemini. There's also a fixed star here called Aldebaran that is informing the energy of the sun. And so the earth being between the sun and the moon obscures the light of the sun shining down on the moon and casts a shadow on the moon. The Aldebaran star is magnifying that force. So for you, what that means is your 6th house, which has to do a lot with everyday tasks, kind of the ins and outs of daily life, you know, brushing your teeth and going to work and coming back, making dinner, that kind of thing. That is something about that is going to transform. This can also be health and fitness. What I got as a major download when I started this, and I have to kind of rush this reading, I have to tell you the truth, because it's getting late and I need to publish before midnight. It's 11:20. Otherwise, tomorrow morning I have to do the last 3. the sun with the North Node here in the 12th house really is calling, beckoning you to go into yourself and into your subconscious. And so we understate how psychic Cancer sign is. And oftentimes we focus on, oh, Pisces and Scorpio, you know, but you are a powerhouse. And this is a time in which you're meant to connect with your subconscious and sort of do away with some of the formalities of day-to-day life. And that's what this eclipse for you, I think, is all about. The other aspect that's happening through this time that will affect you the most, and part of this astrology is different for every sign, so I encourage you to check out your sun, moon, and rising, and maybe more. I tried to make it different for every single video. But for you, the highlight is Mars in Cancer trining Neptune in the 10th house, right on the MC line, right? So right between the 9th and the 10th house. This is your most public position. To me, what this signifies is that there is a fast movement towards something. I had to think about it. A fast movement towards something public, but there is disarray because of that, because Neptune is there. And Neptune causes confusion. So pacing in your situation at this time is very, very important, because Mars, even though in Cancer it's softer and not as intense, it is still Mars, and it wants to push into something public. It wants to do something in public, and it's almost a conflict of interest. If this is your straight shooter, straight line Mars, right? And Neptune is wavy. And so it's almost like a puzzle as to how to make them work together, even though it's a trine. I try to always show you guys the transits that would traditionally be considered a good, easy combination, and how sometimes it's not that it's a bad transit, but it's creating conflict, or it's creating some kind of a frictional energy, friction, rather than conflict. And that can be productive as well. So I feel as though your imagination wants to take you out into the world and broaden your horizons. However, I just feel as though your determined mind is set on something. And so there's a conflict of interest between Neptune's expansion in rulership in Pisces, and then Jupiter just has entered into Pisces in rulership. Pisces is like over the top powerful right now, and Mars straight shooter energy from point A to point B, a straight line. So it's like a really, it's an internal struggle between the outside world and your inside world and your personality and the way that you want to go about doing things. Mars is giving you a strong energy to want to do things the way that you want to do them, and yet the choices you're making are expansive. They add to expansion. So kind of there's a misalignment between what you envision for yourself and what you're doing. There's not a friction, but a little bit of a separation. So the message is actually pretty clear for you, and I'll just summarize it for you, just because I'm very kind of roundabout sometimes in explaining things. Essentially, what you do in the day-to-day through this eclipse and right after will change. So your task list, you know, what you do on a regular basis, who you interact with, how you exercise, what you eat. There's something about that changing, because there's a very deep need to tap into the subconscious, to understand your circumstances more, and really consider where you are at this time. So there's this real deep desire to get connected. And I think that you're being quite assertive with Mars here. And that assertiveness, in some way, it's like driving a Ferrari on ice. It really is. And this is like, but it's safe. Don't worry, you're not crashing or anything. But it's just really hard to. Ferrari would be, or Lamborghini would be impossible to drive on ice. But with the Neptune here, it really is like an open field. So there's no chance of getting hurt. It's just a bunch of skidding around to go in your destination. And your mind is expansive, so it's bringing in a lot of extra information. It's bringing in a lot of like eye-opening things. So you need to get somewhere, and yet smelling the roses, stopping to smell the roses and seeing all these beautiful things coming in. So you will, through this time, really struggle, I think, with the trying to keep on target and organize yourself while being distracted with very profound inner thoughts, inner dialogue, words, and so forth. Okay? So let's take a look at these cards to assess it a little bit more, a little bit deeper. So these are just for kind of a metaphor for your life or whatnot. It's the Dreams of Gaia Tarot, and I love it. But I don't think it's a tarot deck. I love this deck so much. I say it in every single video. I'm sorry. Just 10 of water. Okay. So this is not like a tarot deck. It's still very similar. This meaning is similar to a 10 of cups. The 19, this is not the sun card. This is like protection. I guess an aspect of the sun card is here, but this is a different direction idea, in my opinion. These two cards came together, so I'll honor them. We have the Crone, number 6. These are lifetime cards, or like cohort cards. So the first few cards of this deck depict time and age. It just says, I know what it's saying already, 7 of Pentacles and the 2 of Wands. The Crone told me. So essentially, it's a time of your personal reflection. This is a mature state of a reflection of your life up until this point. It's very, very intuitive. It's very, very introspective. You're thinking about your life. You're thinking about there's something that's protecting you, that's giving you the opportunity to sit back and think about things, about past loves. This is specifically, I haven't had a real strong love reading yet. This is something like this. This makes me, I feel as though you're taking account of your past relationships and you're thinking about the good times with some things. There's space between them and now. Time is a huge part of the equation. Where's Saturn? Saturn retrograde in the 8th house. Let me show you guys if you're new to astrology. Right there, 8th house. Saturn is time. And so retrograde, you're definitely thinking about past relationships a lot, especially ones that have ended. This feels as though you're separated from the happiness that you had in the past. This could be a loss of someone or a breakup, divorce. Time has passed since that time and you're in this crone state. That doesn't mean that you are a crone. So I'm not calling you old or anything like that. Some of you might be past dating age. This is a soul kind of in this cycle. You're in the final stages of a cycle in your relationship with love up until this point. And so you're saying goodbye to, you know how you date when you're a teenager and it's pretty casual, and then maybe in your early 20s you get more serious. Some people move in together for the first time, and then maybe in your late 20s you get married and start meeting people. Now it's a little different, right? People are meeting people older and older, but like maybe in your 30s then you get, like many people, get married and have kids. So and those cycles continue in the types of relationships that people have. It doesn't stop at 30. It's really interesting. I have a lot of clients who are older, and I can really see how like 40-year-olds have certain types of relationships. 45 to 50-year-olds have. 45 to 50 is really similar, and then 55 to like 60, and then 60 to 70. And then 70 plus or 80, it keeps on going, and each phase is different. So you're in one of these phases that's come to an end, and you are now consolidating all the lessons that you've learned about relationships. Just as a little reminder, I just realized why this is coming up this way. So if you haven't seen my channel before, I'll rehash this for those of you who are new, but if you've been here before, you know what I'm getting at. Pluto is in your 12th house in Capricorn. And in last year and the year before, there was a massive stellium here. A lot of planets were here. And that's your 7th house of partnership. And for Cancer's 7th house is very often a very important house that just, it is what it is. You just depend on it and you love it. And it's just detrimental. And so since I started YouTube, I've told you guys, probably from the first video, that this is the hardest transit that any sign is going through. And part of the reason why it's hard is because Pluto takes his god-darn time, because he's so far out there, to get through a sign. And so not until 2024 is it going to transit into Aquarius, right? So you've had Pluto, which is very hard for this house, for your, especially for your temperament and love, Cancer type energies. Pluto is about power, strength, and force, and so many of you have learned many hard lessons with regard to partnership. And so I can see where the catharsis is coming, because after the stellium, all the planets here in 2019, 2020, and 2018 even, I got messed up, 2019, 2020. Now you're sitting back, and this is the month before your birthday, and so you're sitting back, if you're a sun, and you're like processing this. This is very true if you're sun, moon, or rising Cancer. The 12th house sun here, this is the first time since this stellium broke up, since Jupiter moved on, Saturn moved on, and so forth. And you're sitting and thinking, consolidating, and processing. And so this eclipse, the North Node, the Dharma, is telling your day-to-day life what to let go of right now, okay? So we solved that mystery. You're having a big cathartic moment. And again, this is going to last probably the whole month. It's a big phase, and it's exciting because it means that new things, you're finishing a huge cycle, and with that, a whole new life, right? And that doesn't mean that you're going to break up with someone. Look, 6 of Swords just pushed out. So moving on. Let's see the next cards. Okay, so we have the Ace of Cups. I have 2 Aces of Cups. An offer of friendship, of love, new things. Hanged Man, delay in an offer of love and things. Ace of Swords, changes on the horizon. And then we have the King of Swords. There's been a lot of talk for Cancers and air signs, which is atypical. And there you are, Cancer, the Chariot. But this can also mean something else. This is a hot take, okay? The first hot take, the first impression that I have of this spread is that there's someone, this is not true for everyone, but it's going to be true for some of you. There's someone with whom you've had a long-term relationship that's been off and on with delays, Hanged Man. And it's fractured because they can't make up their mind, they can't get over their stuff, and so here you see them overcoming it. So the Chariot isn't you in this case, it's the energy of the King of Swords, and they can be a man or a woman, it doesn't matter. They can be a they too, like and like anything goes, right? Adjust it to your identity and your reality. And it doesn't have to be an air sign, Gemini, Aquarius, Libra, but there's something airy about them. They're very cerebral. Sorry, I'm trying to move. So my leg falls asleep when I sit like here for a long time. So the King of Swords represents that they're very cerebral. They've been in their head and they've been introspective for a very long time. And there's a cathartic moment and a resolution to that. There could have been a separation here, but they're going to come through with very warm offer, and you're going through your process in your outside world. There's some things changing between you and this person. And I really feel a wishy-washy energy. If it's not real, it could be a work thing where somebody's not giving you a raise for a while, and then they're going to finally pull through. In fact, the second message for someone else, or maybe the same people, is that you possibly could have been switching jobs or prepared to switch jobs, almost ready to quit, maybe even have written the letter. Although one time a boss that I respected a lot told me, because I kept on giving him the letter and taking it back, and he said, if you're going to write, and he wasn't mad or anything, but he said, if you're going to write a letter, if you write the letter, you got to give it. And he wasn't scolding me about it. He was just giving me advice. And I've thought about that so many years as like a truism, you know? So, but it does feel as though there's been a back and forth, possibly with regard to work, to the point that you're almost ready to say goodbye. And this person gets their act together and comes through, maybe with a raise or whatever they have been blocking, they're going to come and resolve that. Now here, the crone, that's you in this cycle, right? And you're completing something separately. So you have two situations going on here. This completion of cycles in the past and reflecting on things and having like your understanding, like a deeper moment of understanding. And then there's this situation here. Change, somebody's going to come through. This could be with the house too, like maybe your landlord is not fixing things and you're ready to move and somebody's been putting the brakes on this and they're finally going to pull through. Something like that. Here is the next, ooh, look, success, Ace of Pentacles. So there is definitely success in this outcome. 3 aces is success, okay? Always, no matter how many cards you pull. King of Wands. 2 of Swords. And the Wheel of Fortune. Ooh, I almost shuffled, eh? You would have. Yeah, there's a person who's having a change of heart, a change of disposition. 4 aces. Yes, we have a great title. We're ready for the title. 4 aces is like the home run, hole in one. Emperor. So if you're waiting on your person to come through with love, I think that there's going to be a massive turnaround, and especially in the scenario I sort of described as them being kind of removed somehow, you know, or it really feels as though either they have baggage, I used to call it luggage, if they have baggage or they're hung up on something, they're coming through, but there's definitely a resolution to their feelings, and it's almost like once they're fully committed, everything's great. Which is often, I have to warn you guys, when somebody does that to you and they say, oh, I'm non-committal, and then when I commit, everything's great, that's a major red flag. So don't listen to them. I'm only describing what I'm seeing here. But this is who's coming through, you know? It's almost like something's alleviated in their life. They can come through with good energy. And all around you are new beginnings. And like I said, oh, that's so poetic. So from the beginning of the video, I saw an end to a cycle, and here's your new one. Don't get upset if this cycle does not fully begin after the eclipse on June 10th, which is a new moon eclipse. That's a wowzer. Or definitely after your birthday. So give it some time. This is a huge change, a huge transformation. These kinds of changes sometimes also don't these changes also sometimes don't come through in the wash until you look back on them. So be patient, because it's almost like living in a city and they change a building here and there and you don't really notice it because it's slow and it's like one after the other. But if you like lived in a city and then you go away and you come back and it's like, you know, skyscraper after skyscraper and all yuppie condos and all this stuff, you notice it. The facade has changed. But this is a lot of success. Wheel of Fortune, Ace of Wands. Some of you might be getting engaged. So this could very well describe a situation in which you want to get married, but the person's not coming through. And then finally they man up, you know? So anyway, congratulations, Cancer. Thank you for the wait. And I wish you all the best, okay? Take care. Bye. Oh, and members, your video will be in the description when it's ready, okay? It's almost 12 now, so I want to post this. So I'll go talk to you soon. Bye.